Listen. You're in a privileged position to learn a thing or two. Keep your mouth shut and your eyes open.
This payment would be the second highest ever under the Affordable Cares Act of around $2.1 billion. These funds will be distributed to over 10 million Americans, with the average rebate being around $300. That would be coming this fall, so around September time. These rebates are due to the fact that the insurance companies failed to hit certain thresholds under Obamacare, which requires that they spend 80% of the money that they receive on premiums, from premiums on claims and also quality advancements. They failed to do this, and so the U.S. government is going to hold them accountable. And so all of those billions of dollars are going to be returned back to you who are on Obamacare or the Affordable Care Act public insurance, right? So watch for that this coming fall. Now, in terms of an actual fourth stimulus check, President Biden did speak of the previous success of the third and second stimulus check in his recent address to a joint session of Congress. He highlighted how over 100 million Americans received what he called recovery checks, right? So helping you to recover. He then quoted a letter that he received. He said, "A single mom in Texas wrote me. She said she couldn't work because of the pandemic. She said the relief check put food on the table and saved her and her son from being evicted from their apartment." So from this recent statement and several others during the State of the Union address, it does seem that President Biden is warm to the idea of a fourth stimulus check. Otherwise, why would he have spent so much time highlighting their success, highlighting the fact that because of him, people had money, right? So he definitely was bragging about the program and about him sending those checks out. Now, people in his own party have criticized him for doing less than President Trump. So they're kind of trying to use ego against him to get some of their wishes into the next stimulus packages or the infrastructure packages. So will he end up sending out a fourth stimulus check? He sure seemed pleased with the effects of the third stimulus check. So just keep that in mind, right? It does beg the question, why would he spend so much time on the State of the Union address highlighting how much good he did, right? Now, there was another thing. Remember, he said, "I'm not going to slow these checks down by having my signature on it like President Trump." But then he also sent out over 150 million letters saying, "Hey, you got your check because of Joe Biden." So Republicans have been criticizing him, saying, "Hey, you did the same thing President Trump did. You just did it after the money went out," right? So, all right. Okay, now, so far, outside of his excitement of how well the previous checks did, we haven't heard much from him officially. However, the fact that he brought it up should spark some hope that he would want to do more good. And some of that will depend on the timeline, and I'm going to go over some of that here in just a minute. Now, right now, over 50 members of the House of Representatives are calling for a fourth stimulus check to be included in the Build Back Better plan or the American Families Plan. And one group wants stimulus checks in both of the spending bills. Now, this week, members of Congress will be meeting in committees to start laying out their very best plans to present to the House of Representatives and also to the Senate. Remember, Biden said publicly in his nationwide address before Congress that he wants to hear the best plans from both sides. And part of that is stimulus checks, okay? Now, over the weekend, news came out that House Speaker Nancy Pelosi's stolen laptop from the Capitol riot in January may have surfaced in Alaska. However, after the FBI kicked in the door of the suspect, dragging her and her husband out, separating them, handcuffing them, and questioning them for hour after hour after hour, it turned out that it was a case of mistaken identity. Oh, you guys, can you imagine the FBI kicking in your door and it's the wrong person? Oh my gosh, I'd need a new pair of sheets. Okay, now in response to a photo that Maryland had shared and some bad intel, they thought that she had Nancy Pelosi's laptop and came to Alaska, kicked in the door, ended up being the wrong person. Now, just a funny note, right? This is not my funny news segment, but it's kind of turning into one. The biggest thing for her with the FBI was she kept saying the woman in the photos sweater was so ugly. She would never wear that. I wouldn't wear that in public. That was the first tip that maybe they had the wrong person. All right, now Drew Hamill, who is Nancy Pelosi's deputy chief of staff, had previously said that this laptop was only for presentations, but it must have some sensitive material or else they wouldn't be trying to get it back, okay? By the way, I just want to say thank you guys so much for giving these videos a like. I really appreciate it. It helps YouTube to know whether to share this information with more or less people. So thank you guys so much for liking the video, and I love bringing you guys the news, even if it's while I'm on vacation. All right, now speaking of boundaries being crossed, the Biden administration this past Friday announced that they will be canceling the border wall project paid for by the Defense Department under former President Donald Trump. President Trump had diverted $10 million from the military budget in order to build the wall, an action that President Biden said was wasteful, right? I mean, why would he stop? It's not like there's a crisis at the border, right? All right. Now, recently, a bill that would make Washington, D.C. the 51st state in the United States passed in the House of Representatives. However, Senator Joe Manchin, who continues to be a thorn in his own party's side, has said that he does not support Washington, D.C. becoming a state. Manchin said that he sides with former presidents Ronald Reagan and Jimmy Carter in the fact that the people should vote, the entire people, the entire nation should vote on whether Washington, D.C. should be a state and not just government leaders, because he said that this is something that needs to be a constitutional amendment, right? So it needs to be on a federal constitutional level, not just a government leader wish list level, okay? Now, this is against his own party, right? These are not my own words. All right, it has now been over 100 days since President Biden took office. His attitude towards the pandemic appears to be shifting. He recently stated that America is on the move again, turning peril into possibility, crisis into opportunity, and setbacks into strengths. So, the U.S. has now vaccinated about 43% of people in the United States have had one vaccine, and 29% have had 2 doses of a vaccine, with 29% being fully vaccinated under the definitions of the CDC. President Biden appears to be getting more optimistic, but still always stresses the importance of reopening the country and how vaccinating people is part of that. So, with less people getting vaccinated, there is some worry that it could delay reopening the country. If there is a delay, then there might necessitate a need for a 4th stimulus check or some kind of additional funding to the American people, whether that's more PPP money, more stimulus checks direct to the people, a change in the unemployment benefits, or how they're reopening the economy, right? So that's just something to keep in mind, okay? Now, this is my update for today. As I know more, I will definitely come on and share more.
Listen. You're in a privileged position to learn a thing or two. Keep your mouth shut and your eyes open.